So next up, we have Rebecca coming back up, and she's going to be putting on her financial hat. Well, she doesn't have to wear it officially so hard these days because she's no longer a financial advisor, but she is a powerful money lady. And so I'm going to stick to the script here and give you all the juicy bits and then add a little bit extra. Rebecca Hall Gruyter is a second-generation financial expert. Her dad is a financial expert as well. That comes from a financial advisor background for over 15 years, where she achieved the Circle of Champions twice, the $20 million club, Circle of Excellence, and received the Notable Networker Award. She worked with startup companies, organizations, school districts, Fortune 500 companies, and towards the latter part of her career owned a successful and thriving financial practice, working with both individuals and companies. And she walked away so she could do this. Yay! We're so lucky to have her. She was the go-to person for 401k plans across the country, frequent guest expert on panels, in trainings, TV, radio shows, and summits. Creator of Rebecca's Money Summit, Your Success Formula, 7 Myths and Powerful Truths About Money, and the forthcoming Money Talks TV show. She worked with leadership teams and facilitated and led campaigns to support employees, create financial wellness, created and led financial seminars, workshops to support individuals, families, and companies around financial matters. Rebecca was able to officially retire from her financial advisor career to move into her empowerment work full-time, bringing her over 15 years of experience in the financial industry forward as she empowers people to have a heart connection with their money and build what matters most to them, helping individuals, companies, and entrepreneurs. It's my pleasure and my honor to introduce Rebecca Hall Gruyter, our amazing money lady. Thank you. One more big round for Rebecca.
Thank you. Well, I love to start with the clapping because we're going to be talking about money. You know, it didn't used to be like that. People would find out I was a financial advisor and they would try to make the quick exit or whatever. So I learned to start saying it a little bit differently. And I experimented with different things. And finally, the thing I found that worked was I help you make a heart connection with your money. And I get to continue to do that to this day because it starts with the heart. It starts with what we want to build and create. And I find in our society, we have all this weird stuff attached to money, and then it's not safe to talk about it. So we find that we're uncomfortable. We don't know where to get help. We're trying to figure it out on our own, finding it's not working, but don't know where to go. And it's kind of this vicious cycle. And then what I find gets thrown into the mix is then we feel shame or bad or judgmental around ourselves because we don't know what to do with and about money. And I find it doesn't matter whether you have no assets or you're restarting or rebuilding or climbing out of debt or you have millions. The discomfort's the same. And then when I would have people come into my office, they would all start sharing, the should started happening. They shouldn't be where they're at. They should into being here. They should be there, whatever it was. And what we'd really work hard on doing is let's find out where you're at. Let's just discover that without judgment, without criticism. We can't go back in time, but let's get a real clear picture of where you're at. And we like to get a little wiggly around it about kind of, I think. We don't really like to get clear on where we're at, but it's so important. And when I would have them come into my office, and I know you've experienced this as well, that it would take everything they had to get there because it's scary, especially if you've been wounded around money, to be open and share something you're uncomfortable with and ask for help. That's vulnerable, because we work hard for our dollars. And to trust someone, especially if we've had some wound in that area, that's a vulnerable place. So frequently they'd be running behind, and just, you could tell the tension was building. I'd get them into the office and they'd start not making eye contact and talking about how they shouldn't be where they were and how stupid it was, or they should know this by now, or I can't believe I'm here again, or da 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 da. And I would stop them. So if you know of anyone, or you yourself have ever struggled with the shoulds or that judgmental part around money, let me share a truth. It's a courageous act to lean in and look and let somebody help you. And that's worthy of honor and respect and should be held in that way. And I would let them know, if you're feeling those things, it's not coming from me, because I have nothing but respect for you. And I'm honored and humbled that you're willing to open up this space to let me serve and support you. So I want you to know there are financial professionals out there, many of them are in this room, that have that heart to serve and support you. And it is not a solo journey around money. This is something that we have not taught in schools. It's not something that we've really empowered society around. So today, I'm going to share some pieces to empower you on your journey. I can't fit 15 years of stuff, multiple generation, into the time we have today. So these are going to be little teasers, but really foundational pieces so that you can start to connect with money in a way that you want. So here's the question I want to start with. And if you pull out one of your worksheets there, and I know you see the familiar flower template, this can be your money flower, just if you're looking for names, so it's not confusing later. But I want you to think about, when you think of money and a relationship with money, how would you rate that? If it's relationship ? Or is it thriving, I can't wait to get together with my money again and build the next amazing thing? Like, where are you in that scale? And just kind of mark, there's no judgment. This is not something you have to share with anyone, but it's good to know where you're at. Just kind of go with a quick number and circle and write it down. It may even shift during our time together. I like transformation. But here, if I go back, I'm not wearing the ruby slippers now because these reminded me of coins, so I was wearing the coin shoes to tie in. Oh, now I distracted everyone. We can get real distracted around money. So I'm wearing shoes on theme. But when we look at our relationship, here's what I have found about money. Is a lot of times we're totally separated and we've never thought about having a relationship. So it's this thing over here, and then we're kind of mad at money because it hasn't been doing whatever it's supposed to be doing, and it's making us uncomfortable, and we don't quite know what to do with it. So things that we're uncomfortable with make us squiggly. What do? We kind of avoid. And yet a lot of us are wanting to build more money to bring it in, and yet we're avoiding it and pushing it away. So we're sending it very mixed messages. Now, if we did this with a friend, wouldn't that be a little confusing in the relationship? I don't know, she's hot, she's cold, some days she likes me, some days she doesn't, I don't know what today is going to be. And it's hard to build trust and consistency. So here's where you can make a profound shift, is really look at, well, where would I like to be in my relationship with money? Do I want it to move closer to the thriving? Is it there? Do I want to maintain that? Because how many of you have friendships or relationships in your life? People in your life? Oh, I'm in your life. We'll talk. I'm not connecting then. But it takes work in a relationship. and consistency and giving each other grace and letting you know, hey, this is where we're going. Cynthia, we're going to go this direction, or we're building this. Do you want to be a part of it? Like, you invite your friends in. You invite relationships in. When a friendship goes askew or a relationship goes askew, you can either keep ignoring it and let it drift, or you can decide to clear the space and build something that you want. Same thing with money. And I know so many of you are experts around relationships. These are transferable skills. You've already got them. Just start to look at them a little bit differently and bring them into your relationship with money. What do you want it to be? And then, by golly, you get to lead it there. It can support you. So I encourage you to look at kind of where you're at, where you want it to be. And guess what? When we have those two places, then we can develop the how, and we know where we're going. And we can always improve relationships. We can always build it. They've done studies with people who have brought in money. So they've either gotten an inheritance, or they came lottery winners, whatever it may be. So this large lump sum of money comes in. And what they do, and Dad taught me this, and I have seen it time and time again, is that people spend it down to the amount they understand. So if $1 million seems endless, they will spend it and spend it and spend it. 2 to 3 years, it'll be right down to a number they know is not limited, that is not unlimited. And then they start to panic and they go right back to the patterns they had before. We will not change where we are financially in a lasting way unless we move our relationship with money. More will not last. And if you want more, wonderful. But be specific. $1 is more. Most people, when they say more, mean more than that. So be specific, be clear. This is where I'm building. This is where I want to go. And money, I'd like you to be a part of it. Let's join forces in this. Okay. So here's another key question. And this one I'm going to actually have you close your eyes. As much as I love connecting with all of you, I want you to have a moment to just kind of listen in. Because when we talk about money, which is the term I'm using, it can mean different things to different people. It can mean abundance. It can mean prosperity. It can mean wealth. It can mean a lot of different things. So what's important about it? Money, wealth, prosperity, whatever the word is that you use. But don't exclude money. What's important about it to you? Just receive that information. And then I want you to take it even a little bit deeper. Because that first response, we're just starting to tap in. So if, for an example, the word is freedom. Money means freedom to me. Or peace of mind. Great. But that means different things to different people. What does it mean to you? And why? And you keep digging until you get to a place of feeling. I want this type of a connection because this is what matters to me. It makes me feel this way. And when you have that information, come back into the room and write it on your worksheet there. You'll see it right on the bottom. And here's just a bonus opportunity, way to dial this up. How many of you or somebody you know has ever had some tension when talking about money? Yeah. And sometimes it's that person that we make financial decisions with, and it's like they're working against you. Frequently, it's because the savers are attracted to the spenders. Or the people that want to rent and not own are attracted to the people that want to rent and own. Or we want to give everything to the kids, I want them to earn it. Like, we can have very different perspectives on these things when we come together. So a way to navigate through that so it doesn't feel like you're in polar spaces, but you're actually working together towards a common goal is this question. You don't lead in the tension, in the heated moment. What's important to you about money? Why? This is what I think. I mean, that's not the time to bring it up. But it can be, hey, I was at this workshop and I was given a stretch goal or a challenge to talk about money. And I was thinking, I'd love to know what's important about money to you. You just find out. And many times, couples or people that make financial decisions together don't talk about it. And then it comes up in these clashing moments. And the reason it's important to have those conversations is because when the heat rises and we're in one of those places, if we can step back and say, wait a minute. I remember this is what was important to you. This is what's important to me. How can we both bring these things forward? Now you're on the same team. So really open up to having these conversations. And don't lead in with your answer. We've already got your answer. Hold that space for theirs first to share. And then you can share yours. And just hold that space and listen and ask why and how does that make you feel? Because any sort of financial plan, business plan you have, you want it to make you feel more that way. The way you feel when you have things that are important to you moving forward. That's how a plan should feel to you. Not like you're moving further away. They're not separate, they're together. Does that make sense? Okay, great. So then pull out the next very sophisticated worksheet. I have to find mine here. So I don't know if I could redraw it. And this is how I want you to look at this. So it's just kind of a different way to think about this. So there's a you, and there's money. And they can feel very separate. So again, the way we start to connect these is we look at where we're at, and we decide how we want it to be, and then we lead the connection. And do you see how money is in a supportive role? It's supporting and holding you up in your business. But you have to lead the connection, not wait for it to find you and prove itself yet again. We've got to lead the way in how we want to connect. Okay? So whenever we're looking at change, there's something else at play that I want to make you aware of. We have certain ways we do things, and everything that we've had in life so far, we've survived, right? Not necessarily thrived, but we've survived everything so far. So all of those familiar paths, our mind knows is safe and wants to protect us. So anytime we're starting to veer off into the unknown and do things we haven't done before because by golly, we want to be where we haven't been before, which means doing something different. Are we in agreement? These protection mechanisms get triggered. And that's what happens here. So we're going along, and this is familiar, and we're stretching, and we're starting to get on our path and our rhythm going. Maybe we're making progress in the money area, the business area, personal goals, whatever it may be. We've got this traction going, and then we hit this high, and then there's this contraction, this pulling back. And then it doesn't just stop there into our familiar zone. It frequently starts this downward slope and we go below. And then we panic. We're really good at getting out of the below. We call on our friends, whatever it is, this is unacceptable. So we pull ourselves back up, get that momentum going again, only to have it happen again. And there's a way to break this. You guys want to know it? Yes. A way that we go from this to the next level, to the next level. It's getting support. But where you get support is here, as you're breaking through to the new levels, not down here. We're really good at getting out of down here. Bless you. Where we need support is going where we haven't gone before and being able to evolve and be in that space. So on your flower chart, there's a stem that we're letting things in that are supportive to us. You want to think about what sort of support you need as you're stretching into these new places so that you can keep going. Even with the dip, guess what? The next dip is at a whole different place. And we go again and again. So the good news, bad news in this is it's not this beautiful glide that endlessly goes up that we would love. It is like this. But sometimes we feel like each of these dips is the same and we're flat. That's where if we check in and kind of measure things from time to time, we can see if we're headed in that direction. And a way to do that and to keep getting support and to keep moving up is to build the support in here. And I'll just give you an example here, because this is kind of in theory, so let me give you an example. One of my big things is connection. In case you didn't know that about me, I value connection and community. And there's a fear sometimes that'll get triggered if I stand out too far, get an award, something like that, then I'm leaving my people and I feel vulnerable and disconnected. So a couple years ago, I achieved this award and was totally caught off guard. I'd forgotten they even had it. I was in the back of the room thinking, oh, I'll go for a little walk, and they were keeping me trapped in the room, and I didn't know why, because it was a surprise. I thought, why aren't they letting me out? And then they start talking about this person, and she doesn't even know, and I'm thinking, who is this person they're talking about? And suddenly they're saying my name, and I got Client Coach of the Year, and it was in front of all of these people, and I come up on the stage, and I'm a little bit out of my body at this point. I couldn't even remember the names of my coaches. To think, thank you. We're just kind of all like overwhelmed and honored and all of that mixed together. And then I stepped off the stage and I immediately started to hide. And you know what stopped it? Someone came up and gave me a hug and celebrated with me. That's the support I build into my life. When I have one of those stretches, one of those celebrations, I call and celebrate with somebody. I build that support into my life. So think about what triggers you into a contraction around money, around business, around life, because guess what? They're not separate. They all overlap. What can you bring in to support you to keep rising, to keep wanting to do it, that becomes a positive experience that you discover is safe again and again? Does that make sense? Okay, great. So I'm going to tie this together for you. So to summarize, what goes in the center? I didn't hear everybody. Okay, good. Just making sure no one got lost there. And then we've talked about the relationship with money. And I call this the profound. So this is how are you connecting or not connecting? What's going on there? What's the relationship look like? What are the beliefs that you're having? And where do you want it to be? Because guess what? You get to choose. You don't have to stay where you're at if it's not where you want to be. I give you full permission, center stage, ta-da, we claim it. What are they going to do? Like, we've just learned all of those skills today. So we can bring that forward in this area as well. And then you want to develop being able to be empowered in your conversations around money. It's really important in business. So if you find stuff is coming up and you can't separate your stuff from their stuff, that's an area you want to lean into and get support. Because if you're not in a place where you're feeling empowered and connected when you're talking about money, it's going to be hard to have sales conversations. It's going to be hard to get investors and sponsors. It's going to be hard to build what you want to build. So just do a check-in with that. And if it is something you struggle in, guess what? You can get support. Okay? And then practical. You need to know your numbers. Not about what your goals are, where you're really trying to go, what you're trying to build. Clearly, in your business and your finances, they're not separate. Sometimes we're like, I want to touch this many clients, I want to make this different, I want to touch 1 million lives, whatever it may be, and we ignore the money part. So we need to bring them all in because they all matter. And when you ignore something, things get unbalanced and unhealthy. And then it can surprise you or be one of those parasites we talked about. And then you want to look at your foundation. Kind of, where are you? Is it supporting you? Does it need to grow? Are there some gaps? Disconnects? Do you know how things are flowing together? Is there debt you're struggling with? Really just look. And this isn't with judgment, it's with awareness and discovery. Where am I? Does my foundation feel firm? If one of those storms comes in, am I going to be okay? Or does everything have to just work this way and line up this way, and it creates that tension? I mean, kind of look at where you're at. And if you're not where you want to be, then circle it. That's an area to get support. It's not judgment. But we need to understand where we're at so we can go where we want to go. And as long as we keep it nebulous and fuzzy, it's hard to move. And then remember what you're building and growing now and in the future. Is money doing that for you? You want to bring that into your planning. Most people, when I talk to them, even those who really love to connect and talk about money, because there are those people too, it's not about money. It's about what they're creating. It's about what they're building. It's the same stuff. But they see money as an ally, and they're bringing it in. So really looking at, are you growing and building for the future now as well as the future? We need to look at both. And if not, guess what? There's an area to get support. Okay? So we're just touching on these things. But if we don't know what we need help with, it's hard to start and know where to go. So the 2 leaves, I recommend financial advisors getting support. They do have hearts, I promise. Some people don't know that. They do, and they care deeply. And that's why they do the work that they do in an area that can be so tentative for so many. And then this is get support on the business side, coaching side, planning side. So let's bring ourselves together as I bring this to a close, and I'm going to hand the stage back to the amazing Cynthia. I want you just to breathe in what has been shared. And it is a courageous act to lean in, to listen as you did today, to receive the information, to say yes to you and to your business. And I celebrate that you cheered talking about money. You stayed with me through the full conversation and connected. I celebrate that, and I wish you a full, empowered business and life. May you always, always thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. One more big hand.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had an aha moment around money. Especially when you said, you talked about it as a relationship with a person. And I was thinking, I have this great relationship with food and my body now. Why can't I take that and do that with money? And so I've been looking at my bank account, and I've been talking to it and looking at my credit card things every day. But it just took it to a higher level today. I almost want to name my money relationship.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah. You know, I mean, my phone, I have this Australian guy, his name's Thunder. I have a relationship with my phone and my GPS guy on there. So I need to think of a relationship name for money and just give it a person.
And where you want it to go.
And where I want it to
it.
go and to be with me.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're joined at the hip. I mean, it is the longest relationship I've had in my life, besides food, you know. But I'm good with food. We have a really great relationship now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I want to have that.
I want to just, think of a name. But it took it to this whole new level that wants me to even have a closer relationship.
I love that. We celebrate. Let's celebrate with her. Beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yes.
I love it. Wonderful. Now, would you like fairy dust just to take it over the top?
Take it over the top.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me get my wand. Define and describe your fairy dust.
My fairy dust is this mossy green color in a wave like the ocean with a spearmint smell that is uplifting. And, I picture a silky wave.
Beautiful.
Just, kind of brushing over. I think my money's going to have a male name. I think so.
Well, nice texture. It seems to be.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's stand up and get this special fairy dust that has this wave motion to it. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3.
That was good.
Beautiful. I can smell the spearmint. Very nice. Thank you, Lori.